Well, hello again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. Last week we talked about the Ryan's Auto Parts, and before we get into that, I want to give a shout out to my niece, Claudette Brookins. She's one of the young women that's doing great things in the community and for herself, and I really love you and thank you for being you. I also want to give a shout out to my husband, Charles Stinson, the love of my life and the one that's with me even when we're not together. I really love him. He's always there for me. He's a shoulder to cry on. He's a strong rock, and I want to give him the respect and the honor that he deserves. So thank you so much, Charles Stinson. And today we're going to be talking with Ramon Jackson, and we're going to be talking about the Ryan Auto Parts. So I want to say, hey, how you doing, Ramon?
How you doing? How you doing, Stinson? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I really wanted you to come in today because there's a lot of things going on in the neighborhood, and the funny thing about this is God knows how to bring His people together. I didn't even know that we stayed in the same neighborhood, and there's a lot of things going on with Ryan's Auto Parts, and I just want you to. Give the people a little bit about who you are and what you represent in that neighborhood. So you
Um,
can look at the camera.
my name is Ramon Jackson. Come up. Name is Ramon Jackson. I'm actually a member of Advocates Fighting Social Change. I'm a advocate in the neighborhood and also a longtime resident in the neighborhood. We've been fighting this battle with Ryans, and it's a twofold battle. One of them is a nuisance and the problem that they cause to our neighborhood, but the other one is the underlying racism that's going on, environmental racism, which is existing all over the urban sector. So that's one of the major issues that we going through, as well as just the problems that their
Hmm.
businesses is causing in our neighborhood, the health issues, and just the overall social issues and unsafe issues is caused. It's an underlying racism issue going on
Yeah,
as well.
you know, and I that's what pulled me into this fight. Um, I would go. There's like a dead end street, and it's right here on Ellis, and it goes down to Robeson. There's a park there where children play, and I take this little route sometimes. And when I'm down there's people waiting to buy drugs. There's people down here having sex in cars. I call the police constantly. I'm always getting a bunch of flack from the police, and it's just amazing to me that if we were a suburb, this wouldn't even be going on. The Ryan Auto Parts, in I think is Ferndale and Roseville,
Ferndale and Roseville.
they have big walls over there where when they do all their burning, their cuttings or whatnot, this smoke or this chemical or whatever it is, I guess it's not disturbing these neighborhoods, but where we live at, what happens is there's a mist that comes down our streets and these other streets down here, and there's supposed to be a gate around there, which the gates are the fence is just totally torn down, and he has these trailers going around as like it's the fence. Pedophiles could take little children in there and do bad things to them. There's people that do drugs. They go into these trailers and they just do whatever they want over here. And I did not really know that Ryan's Auto Part. I always thought that Ryan's Auto Part was owned by African Americans because a lot of African Americans were working there. Come to find out, is a Jewish man. There's a
Jew.
Jewish guy that owns this place, and I want you to tell us a little bit about the fight that you've been doing to try to at least get the wall built up, and how even our own city council is blocking our community from making this guy do right.
They've been yeah, thank good point too, Miss Stinson. They've been able to operate in that area without no permits for years. They basically just disregarding the law because they wealthy people. They multimillionaires, Jews. Just like I say, they got three locations, two of them in the suburbs, one of them in Detroit. The suburban location is in compliance with everything that we are complaining about. They operate all night while the residents over there
I
sleep.
hear
Our
it. I
elderly
hear it.
people banging, crushing, doing everything under the sun. They refuse to follow any laws there because they look at us as if we are beneath them, that we are beneath
We're
those
animals,
environments.
basically.
Like,
We're
we shouldn't even
animals.
have a problem with what's going on there. And like you said, if we done took them to court on a lawsuit, we done took them to court on a lawsuit. We also went to numerous public hearings with the city of Detroit, and as Ms. Stinson just stated, they are bought and paid for. They only going to enforce the rules on African American small businesses. They're not going to enforce the rule on these rich businesses, and that's what we going through.
So and this really hurts me when it comes to the chemical spills that they be doing down there. All this plastic that they be burning down there, mixed in with the iron from these cars and everything that they be burning down there, and is dangerous for pregnant women because they're smelling this stuff. It's dangerous for the children that's here right now because this is where they play.
That's right.
Their dump site is where we live at. They have no conscience about our children. People, we need to start getting together. The best thing that we can do is vote. Now, there's Councilperson Gabe Leland. Can you talk a little bit about this guy?
Councilperson Gabe Leland, man, he's a Jew just like those individuals that own that place. Just like the attorney, they all Jewish people. Council member Gabe Leland is a council member that's not from nowhere near the urban sector. He come down to Detroit to capitalize off the ignorance of the people, to get by off not doing nothing for the people and getting paid for the people. He was in the district as a district representative for 10 years prior to being a city council. So he got a total of probably about 14 years allegedly representing the Northwest District of Detroit. I explained to him, you have accumulated millions of dollars from your pay misrepresenting us. You have bought homes off us. You have sent your children to school. You have did multiple things off our ignorance. People need, like Ms. Stinson said, people need to get involved and vote, and they need to know the importance of voting and the urgency of voting. Exactly. We don't have 4 more years to allow them to stay in office here. The election is coming up. In August, it's the primaries, and then come November, it's the general election. We need community involvement in the election.
People, without this community involvement, they're going to continue to railroad us. They are going to continue to run over us. We sit in our little homes, and even some of us, and I'm not saying that some of these people don't need Social Security. Some of these people don't need FIA. I'm not saying some of these people don't need food stamps. But once they take these things away from you, what are you going to do? It takes a village to keep this village clean and to keep this village safe. Now, over in the suburban neighborhoods, I got in touch with the health department about this place. I got in touch with the CDC about this place. I got in touch with the police, the fire department. Nobody is doing anything pertaining to Ryan's Auto Parts. I want to say to my automotive brothers that go to Ryan's, please stop going there, because you aren't doing anything but making these people rich and making us and yourselves sick. Because this stuff that comes out in the air, these people don't live here. They don't have to smell this. Now, I went down there when I very first heard about this back in February. And I took my camera, because like you all know, I'm a video vigilante. I took my camera down there. I seen the orange mist coming out. They do this 24/7. Now, they supposed to have an ordinance on when they can do this and then when they're not supposed to do this. Can you talk on that?
Well, a good point too, Ms. Stinson. They have an ordinance. They have the same ordinance in play as they businesses in Roseville, as they business in Ferndale. We have the same ordinance, but they choose to apply the ordinance in those places, but they won't follow the ordinance in our community based on the fact that they lack respect for us as human beings. So this just deeper than just the issues that we talking about. It's just much deeper because they lack respect for us as human beings. You can literally walk into their scrapyard from our community. It is wide open.
And it shouldn't be. Children can run up there and get hurt. They got these little, I don't know what they are, but little steel beams. Now, like I said, I went up in there. The next day, they put a blockade up there. so I couldn't get in and see what was going on. Not only that, they have mounds of dirt where you cannot actually see what's going on in there, and I feel like it goes further than just that auto parts place. I believe there's corruption going on in that auto parts place. Not only are they killing us, and I believe, and this is my opinion, Mayor Duggan has a lot to do with this also. I believe Duggan, Leland, a couple of other people are getting their palms greased, and that's why these Jewish people can come into our neighborhood, pollute our air, and just run amok, and not, they don't have to follow any ordinance, and like we were saying, they run this auto parts 24/7. Now, in Roseville, they're open 5 days a week.
They open 6 days.
6 days a week.
Yeah. Close early on Saturday on the 6th day.
Okay, now but in Detroit, they're open 7 days a week. 7 days a week.
Including most holidays too.
And this is the stuff that we have to deal with. Now, people, it's power in numbers. And we have to stop, we have to get off the pot, basically, and start doing what's good for the future of our children. If you don't got grandchildren now, you may have grandchildren later on down in life. Then again, you may not, because they can very well come into your neighborhood like they've come into this neighborhood. There's a elderly gentleman that we were going to try to have him on. I'm going to try to have him on later on. His name is Mr. Stewart. He's been living over in this area since 1978. He was telling me that when he moved over there, Ryan's Auto was just a small place. And I'm going to let Mr. Jackson explain this to you about how once people started moving away and the houses started getting torn down, this man started buying these lots. So how was that working?
Well, at first, like Miss Stinson just said, it was, and Mr. Stewart said, when Ryan's first came into the neighborhood, it was 1972. It was owned by some different people. They was a very smaller salvage yard. In 1999, this current owner, Marty Lewicki, purchased it from them, and then in 2010, he bought all the other business that was around him, which made him expand further into our community. But the thing about the expansion was he didn't even go get no permits from the city before he expanded. He supposed to have permits from the city, and the community supposed to been able to get involved in what you call public hearing, where you can voice your opinion and the community have a right to what's going on in any building. That was totally deviated from, and it was no accountability. In 2016, the Property Maintenance Division went there, inspected them, cited them for 16 violations. Actually, the head of the Property Maintenance Division, a guy named Wilkins, said he voted to close Ryan's down 15 months ago. So it's evident that it's some higher officials involved in that to stop that, because you got the Property Maintenance Division. The person that's over the Property Maintenance Division is Mayor Duggan. So at the end of the day, it's some different other higher officials involved in that, and it's all surrounding big business and big money. It's no black small business going to be able to violate the law, go without permits, operate illegally for years and years and years and years, and then they won't do nothing. And then the Property Maintenance Division inspectors inspect the property, vote to shut the property down, and the city ride against the own city on that. You know it's a sellout going on there, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on with these people now. If this had been a suburban area, and we've even seen on the news time and time again, ladies and gentlemen, where they've had strip joints in these suburban neighborhoods, and they came together and had them close these places down because they were saying that it was an eyesore because of the bottles, beer bottles, and this, that, and the other. It was bringing crime up in their neighborhoods. This place is no different. It's no different than if there was a strip joint or a drug house, because this is all of these things in one. This man do not care about our safety, but he wants to keep us in jeopardy. He's making more money off black people here which is a shame because we shouldn't even be going there. And I've always said this: one don't go, none don't go. Black brothers, I'm begging you, please stop going to Ryan's Auto Parts. They do not mean our community any good, and they definitely don't mean the brothers any good. Now, there's brothers that's in there and they're working. Now, I can understand, people need a job, and, people have to work and this, that, and the other. But if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. So we have to start learning how to say no, like our forefathers back in the day when we had to sit in the back of the bus. One don't ride, none don't ride. But we're constantly against each other. And that's their weapon, to be constantly separated. Those of us who do not learn our history are doomed to repeat it. This man gives less than 2 shakes of a lamb's tail whether your children get sick or anything like that. Now, I know they were saying there was they had a couple of news teams go down there a couple of years ago also, and they were showing just that this place looked like a some type of landmine with, just things scattered all over everywhere, and they were talking about what should be done. And is it true that a news reporter got fired because they reported this?
Well, I don't know particularly the actual particulars surrounding why she left the news, but Ronnie Dow did do 2 news stories. She did 2 full news stories on that. One aired in the morning and the other one aired at night on both different occasions. She exposed not only what they was doing, but she exposed the discriminatory treatment by showing his other locations and also showing his living area. Multi-millionaire, that company. So after the news stories aired, a few months later, Ronnie Dow after the news story aired on that situation, and after she was digging into the mayor's situation involving the hardest hit funds and the corruption dealing with the hardest hit funds, she ended up being replaced, just like Charlie LaDuff was replaced. They just mysteriously was gone when people reporting that true news. So I say this, brothers and sisters, I encourage you to understand that politics does apply to your life. Do not, every resource, policing, services, all come from politics. So it applies directly to your life. Every decision that's being made from the national level to the state level and to the local level are directly affecting us. We need brothers and sisters to become politically involved, and that's going through voting, and that's knowing who running these districts and who we voting for.
Yeah, we definitely have to do that. I talked about this before, where they were talking about how when people get ready to vote, these new faces just pop on the scene. We don't know who they are. They get with these older folks that don't know who they are. They, try to adhere to the older folks and, keep their neighborhood clean. They'll come over and they'll mow their lawns. They'll, get a little bit of the garbage and the trash out from over there. And after that, nothing. Now, when Gabe Leland had came, now the first time I kind of met Gabe Leland, I went to one of his events where he was talking about what he can do for the community and what he proposed to do for the community. And I told him, I'm watching you. I'm watching you, Gabe Leland. I'm watching you. Not only that, you had the nerve to come to my church. Now, I guess they stopped having politicians come in the morning service because I was blasting them. How dare you come where I come to get my spiritual food and try to get votes? How dare you? And I'm letting you know, I don't care who at my church say what. Don't come to Unity Baptist Church with that mess, because I'm going to blast you. Now, when you were talking about policing, a couple of days ago, I'm driving down the street. Once again, I let you people know I'm a video vigilante. And I literally seen the police make a U-turn in the middle of the street. They seen me with my camera and flicked me. They pulled me over. Some of you guys seen some of this on my Facebook because I went Facebook Live with it when they pulled me over. I just set all my cameras up and put them on my dashboard. This man had the nerve to tell me the reason he pulled me over was because I didn't have both of my hands on the steering wheel. How stupid is that? Now, I said that to say this. We have to stop doing all these bad things to each other. We have to stop breaking in each other's house. We have to start being model citizens so that we can police the police. Because without us doing our job and living a model life, they're going to find any and every excuse they can to railroad us and bamboozle us. I called the police. I was calling the police like maybe 3-4 times a day when things was going on in my neighborhood. You would come, but you would come 3 or 4 hours later. I mentioned Ryan's Auto Part. You never come. You never show up. I called the fire department. You never show up. The health department. You never show up. The CDC. All of these people. The Environmental Protection Agency. The only thing they said is, we'll investigate. And then they'll tell us, if you know anything, please get in touch. Why would I get in touch with you when you already know what's going on? Mm-hmm. So people do not be misled by people like Duggan, by people like Gabe Leland. These people do not mean us any good. They want to literally take your home away from you. If they had their way, we would be living just like Roots once again. So I admonish you to get involved in the political arena in your area. Do not let this fall on deaf ears. We need everybody that we can to come together because like I said, this is our neighborhood today. It could be your neighborhood tomorrow. Now, I know Mr. Jackson said that, as a matter of fact, he showed me the video where they did an interview at Ryan's Auto Parts, and they basically slapped us in the face by saying that Detroit ain't crap because we ain't crap.
Yeah, his comment to her was, why he was treating us different, was basically, look at Detroit. Why should I care about this city? I don't care about this city. Is Ferndale and Roseville better? That is the thought. That's just like a lot of the things that they do in the suburbs. They do in Detroit. They wouldn't dare attempt it in the suburbs for 2 reasons. They municipal not going to allow them, and they residents not going to allow. This is one factor I want to tell my brothers and my sisters. They win in these districts by small percentage of votes. Like in our particular district, me and Miss Stinson live in District 7. Mm-hmm. Gabe Leland won District 7 with 8,000 votes when it's 100 and something thousand people there. So that is the problem there. First, people got to understand the importance of why it's important to vote. They control and they can help build your community through voting. You build your community through political empowerment. They giving out tax breaks and tax incentives, tax-backed bonds, funding all the major projects with the tax money of us. But the business is not going to none of our communities. The business is not going to no people that look like us. And that's because we don't have the proper representation as a people. That's why that is important. So when they get in office, it's for 2 reasons. It's for us either voting them in or for us not voting. Locally, it's the vote that counts. I know everybody emphasized the presidential vote. You had 238,000 people that went out and voted for Hillary Clinton in the November election. Guess how many in Detroit went and voted for the mayoral election? Not even 50,000 people. Now, make sense out of that. Locally, where you can direct change, you got 50,000. But nationally, where we really don't trickle down to us, we have quadruple the numbers. That don't make sense, brothers and sisters. Let's get involved.
Yeah, we really do need to start paying attention to the politicians that's supposed to speak for us. That's because right. That's why they say they're for the people. That's why the police say protect and serve. And until we get our voice back, we're going to continue to be flim-flammed, bamboozled, run amok. There's a lot of us that's so blinded And I want to say this to the brothers and sisters out there too. There's a lot of you guys that cannot read and write. You're too ashamed to say, "Help me, I can't read and write." Please ask for help. Somebody come to you and start explaining the political agenda of these people, and you may not understand it. Speak up and tell them, "I don't understand. Can you please explain it to me like I'm 5 years old?" Do not be ashamed to ask for help. That's what they want you to do. They want you to be ashamed and not ask for help. You must have a voice. Without a voice, we're nothing. We are nowhere. I wanted to talk about the schooling too for just maybe 30, 40 seconds. I want you to tell them about this police station that they have on our children now.
Oh yeah, we doing a campaign called Free to 10, and Free to 10 is where we trying to free up 10,379,000 that's coming out our school general fund to go to fund the Detroit Public School Police Department. Now, this police department is a state-of-the-art, multi-million-dollar facility. They got their own K-9 unit. They got their own detectives, their own holding cell. They even got their own chief of police that makes more than majority of our. Matter of fact, they chief of police make a just equivalent to the mayor make of the city of Detroit. They got militarized vehicles inside they lot. The Free to 10 is to tell them that we're going to take those resources, address those resources towards performance level in our school, and put that responsibility on who it's supposed to be on, which is our municipal, which is in duty to protect every inch of Detroit according to the Detroit Charter. The school shouldn't have to pay to police Detroit when the police get half of the city's budget for policing and fire. That just don't make no sense when we got such a performance level. It don't make no sense that the building that will lock them up will be in a better condition than the building that teaches them.
So, people, my time is up. You know I love you so much. I want you to understand that this is a very, very this is an injustice that should not be. So I want you all to rally together around when it's time to vote. Do not vote for Gabe Leland. Do not vote for Mayor Duggan. Do not vote for these people. I will continue to bring this to you until something is done. So until next time, stay strong.